everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Blu Ray Hunter reviews. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and we're here to talk about a movie that, unfortunately, I'm taking it off here because I'm gonna show it to you guys. This movie, You Can Count on Me, which is the same, almost the same shot, similar shot as to the shot that's in this scene here, and yeah, let's talk about this movie. It's a Criterion film. I got it on 4K, so it's got the 4K and the Blu-ray on it. And what did I think of it? It is not going on Criterion Watch. I'll tell you that much. It is a enjoyable movie. It's sweet, but I don't think this is like one of those Criterion movies that I'd be watching over and over and over again. Um, like maybe once in a decade or something, maybe if I'm like wanting to show somebody the movie or something like that. But like, no, it, the problem I have with the movie is nothing really, like there are no real stakes in this movie. You know, the biggest stake in this movie is that like, you know, Mark Ruffalo has to leave, or whatever. But he's always like I knew he was gonna leave eventually because he just didn't like that town to begin with. Like he didn't like being back home. So like he was only back home to get help, like to get money. So let me read you the back of the box. So uh celebrated playwright Kenneth Lonergan, I probably pronounced that wrong, brought his rich humanist vision to the screen with his soulful look at the complexities of a sibling relationship whose roots are as knotted as they are deep. Years after Sammy, played by Laura Linney, and her younger brother Terry, played by Mark Ruffalo, lost their parents in a car crash, small town single mother Sammy is plunged into another crisis when the troubled adrift Terry comes home for what turns out to be an extended stay, one that could either bring them closer together or tear them apart. With infinite grace in his peerless ear for dialogue, Lonergan offers something all too rare on screen: beautifully flawed human beings whose journeys offer achingly relatable insight into what changes when you grow up and what doesn't. Okay, so basically, the big plot thing here is that they were, their parents had died when they were young in a car crash, and so they've kind of always relied on each other. Then Mark Ruffalo did not want to stay there. Laura Linney's character wanted to stay. So Mark Ruffalo moved away and he's been to like Alaska and Florida and all these places. But he comes back to town and the small town where everybody sort of knows everybody, and Matthew Broderick's in it, and it kind of I just watched Election, which is also on Criterion. That's a movie I would do for Criterion Watch at some point. I did a review of it already for rewatch and review or something, I believe. Or no, or was director's early works. I did that for that, and I enjoyed it. It's a really good movie. But this this is okay. Like it's got really good moments and moments I really, really liked. Like uh you just see how much Terry, who's Mark Ruffalo, is just like this biggest fuck up, and he just keeps messing up. He doesn't know how to stop. And there's a pastor played by the director, Kenneth Lonergan, and he pretty much says to Terry, like, you know, like, do you care about, do you care about yourself kind of thing? Like basically making him realize he just doesn't think he's worthwhile, and everything. And he's not, like significant in this world or whatever. And it really like messes with his head and everything really badly because first of all, he wasn't expecting his sister to kind of throw him to the wolves like that, but he was, and have that the priest come over and ask that question, not priest, but pastor or whatever. But he also asked a very like deep question that he tried to make up an answer for. And I listened to the commentary for that scene, and the director said that that was the one thing he loved writing about Terry was that like Terry could be asked a million questions or whatever, but he'll always give you answers to them. Like he'll just come off from the top of his head and answer them like that. So I think that that was great. Um, but the problem is like he doesn't know the answer. Like and there is no if you're looking for a movie that has some kind of big resolve or big ending where it's like, you know, like everything gets spelled out and everything gets fixed up by the end of it, that's not this movie. This movie is more realistic of like what life is like. Like you're gonna mess up. Like at one point Terry brings his uh nephew, which is played by who is played by Rory Culkin, to meet his real dad, which his mother has been shielding him from because she doesn't want him to know all about what happened to his dad and stuff, like why his dad's such a a-hole. And there's this like they get into a huge fight because like I mean that's just messed up. Like at one point Terry's like, "Hey, can I come inside?" He's like, "No, like stay outside. Like what is going on? Why are you doing this?" You know? And I think Terry thinks he's doing the right thing, but in the same sense, he's messing up like severely. He's doing everything wrong. There's things he shouldn't be doing, you know. There's some things he does well. I mean, he bonds with the kid well, but like, showing him how to work hard and then taking him to go play pool and stuff. Like things like that. He's hanging out doing stuff, but then the pool, like he shouldn't have been doing that. But he, you know, he just doesn't think things through exactly. And I think that's the biggest part of, his flaw. Now, when you go to Sammy's life, Sammy, Laura Linney's character, she falls in love, or she's already dating this one guy, and then she starts dating this or kind of seeing her boss, her new boss, played by Matthew Broderick. That's why a lot of the reason why I thought of Election, because there's a lot of like cheating and a lot of things going on in that. And this was not as dark as, the humor and stuff, but this was still like, I mean, it was weird. He gets really like kind of possessive of her, but also kind of like torn between being her boss and then being her fling. Like what, you know, what am I gonna do and all this other stuff. So, um, but then so she's caught between the middle of that. Like she wants an answer, but I think she knows the answer. The answer is to stop all of that. Like you should be single. You're a mess right now. Don't be doing either of these things. Like, just take your time and work on your job, be with your family, and just, but she doesn't think like that. She thinks like, give me the answer where I can, you know, I can figure out what's wrong with me. Like and the psychological answer. And she knows the psychological answer. She knows the answer. She says it and she even says why. And like she enjoys basically the feeling she gets from both of them, that they both sort of need her in some way or another. It's really messed up story. So, spoiler alert, I'm sorry, there are spoilers in this. If you haven't seen You Can Count on Me, I do recommend getting it. Like I said, I am happy to own it and everything. I'm not necessarily happy. There's going to be two things I'm not happy about. First of all, I will say I'm not happy that it's that the fork that I got. This is a movie that I didn't need to get the 4K of. However, I have been upgrading all my movies from Blu-ray to 4K anyway. So it's eventually I'd probably get this as a 4K. So and it comes with the Blu-ray. So if I ever want to watch this again, I'd probably watch the Blu-ray because the 4K doesn't. I mean, maybe I'd watch the 4K, but it doesn't matter. It's a it's a movie that isn't shot like beautifully. There's no cinematography that's gonna make me go, "Oh my God." It's sort of plainly done in that sense, and that's not a bad thing. It's just the story is what grips you. Um, so the ending kind of ends with just this scene. This is the ending where basically they have their little talk at the end, and whoa, why did I go? Hmm, there we go. Anyway, this is where like these two characters sort of have their talk at the end, and then they go on their merry way, you know? And he goes back to the life he was living right before he came, and but we don't see any of that. We just see him leaving. But assuming that's what he's planning to do. He's kind of said that like if that doesn't work out, he'll go somewhere else. And he's more of a wanderer. He does not want to stay, in a town where he just never felt like he belonged. And I think that was we don't really see too much of that, but that's like I think what happened after a lot of that has to do with like their childhood after the car accident. She feels obligated or she loves being there, like the town accepts her. She works at kind of at a bank. I guess she does like all I ever see her doing is doing stuff like at the computers and stuff. I don't really see her in front of the bank, but they're doing all the stuff like behind the scenes at the bank, I guess. Um, and then he's a wanderer. Like he likes to wander, he likes to go places. He doesn't like to sit still. And him being there was sort of a reminder of why he left. And just kind of, he did not like everybody being up in his business. He didn't like being around that. And he wanted to leave. And so I love that. I think that was a very cool, thing. I did enjoy the movie, I just it's just not to me it's not a movie I'm gonna like this isn't gonna be a favorite of mine. This probably wouldn't even make my top 100. And it's just and I don't know, I think why I bought it was because it was independent. And I was like, ooh, this could be something we do for Indie Film Cafe. I wouldn't even want to do this for Indie Film Cafe because it's just kind of, it's too boring to be something like it would just get like a meh, it'd get like on the stinkometer, it would get a 5. That's a 1 to 10 scale, 1 being very, very good, 10 being very, very stinky. It's be in the 5, range. I mean, I wish it were better, but in my opinion, it's not. So, but that doesn't mean, hey, if you like this movie a lot and you were super excited, because it is a movie that should be on Criterion, because it does feel like a movie that would be on Criterion. It's just not my cup of tea to watch all, but I'll keep it. I'm happy. I will tell you guys what's on it as far as special features goes. So, audio commentary featuring Lonergan. So I already talked about that. New interviews with Lonergan and actors Matthew Broderick, Lori Linney, and Mark Ruffalo. A trailer and an essay. So that's pretty much it. It's a very almost bare bones thing. I think the interviews and stuff are on the Blu-ray because I think the only thing I could see was the commentary, but I might be wrong. I might be wrong. It could have been there. But honestly, I mean, it looks cool. I liked it. I had a fun time. It just wasn't it it, it wasn't worth being watching in 4K in that sense. But like I said, I'm upgrading everything to 4K anyway, so it's not a big deal to me. Um, I do like it that like I think it sort of is a movie that that sort of put Mark Ruffalo on the map. It's like 2000, I think. I think it was the year 2000. Yeah, the year I graduated high school. That shows you how old I am. Wow. How many years ago was that? 25 years ago? 25 years ago. Um, but it was interesting. I liked it. I had a fun time, and I will probably, like I said, I'd probably watch it like once a decade, maybe if I'm like in the mood or I want to show something who'd never watched it before. Like somebody's looking at my Criterion collection and they said, "Oh, what about You Can Count on Me?" I'll be like, "Oh, that's cute. Let's watch that." But would I like it for like watching over and over again? This isn't my next Chilly Scenes of Winter. That's a movie that I'll watch probably every year. And that shocked me a little bit, that I would do that. But this movie didn't really shock me. It's just okay. It was a cute movie. Like I said, I'd probably watch it because, especially if I hadn't seen it in years, I kind of forgot about it. That would be fun. But aside from that, no. No, thank you. All right, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Give me a thumbs up if you have. And also subscribe. I don't say that enough, but subscribe, please. You should be getting one episode a day for the next 5 days. So sorry if I haven't really been doing a lot. I just got back from LA. I did a few videos, short videos that I posted, but I haven't even done. You're on Thursday, you'll get a recap of my whole like experience in LA and other stuff, like things, plans and stuff for the future and everything. So get ready for that on Thursday. But tomorrow, you're gonna get a video on what is it? So Tuesday, you'll get a video that is going to be talking about the criterions I need to watch, and will watch by the end of the year. And a lot of them I'll be reviewing for here. So I'll talk about that. And then not all of them though, because some of them I'm going to say for like, there's going to be a couple that like I may watch and I'll be like, oh, this will be a Criterion watch at some point. We'll talk about that. I'll talk about that on this next one. So, okay. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Talk to you soon. Bye.